Welcome to the Beautiful Game. As always, I am Blake here with Ferris.
Hola.
And Ron.
What's happening?
And on tonight's episode, there's a lot of soccer. We'll be talking some Premier League first, looking at Arsenal's flipping and flopping between Man City over a short week there. Rashford over on the Man United side of things, scoring and continue to churn out results. And then last but not least, since we've got my club and Ferris's club, let's take a look at Ron's club and see how that hashtag Potter out is doing. It's been trending. And then because there's so much soccer that we are going to forego the Playboy of Pork's beer news this week for our 2023 MLS preview. MLS. But first,
don't we have that sound effect somewhere there, Ron?
It's somewhere over there. Ron is still thinking about that hashtag Potter out.
I'm still over here in my rocking chair, just rocking myself to sleep.
For the MLS preview. Thank you.
There we go. But first, let's talk some beer. You guys up first?
We are. And we got a Great American Beer Fest gold medal winner on the pod tonight. From our backyard here in Orlando, Florida, we have a beer from Dead Words Brewing, which is a fairly new brewery out of this area, only been open about a year or so. And first go at the Great American Beer Fest, they pulled in gold for a lager. Of all things. You know how hard that is to win gold from a lager?
Yeah, especially, I mean,
in this economy?
It's like IPAs is the hardest category, right? Lagers are somewhere.
But lager in America? Come on.
Is somewhere in the middle of the styles, and there's 488 styles at the last Great American Beer Festival. So it's What I'm trying to say is there is still a lot of people entering lagers into the Great American Beer Festival.
Absolutely. And if you head over to their site, deadwords.com, right there kind of on the homepage, there's an article to link, and I'll just read you some of that. But we essentially have on the Bridge American Lager at 5.5% alcohol by volume and 8 on the IBU. And it is just... It was created to span the gap between the mass-produced homogenized American lagers and the fuller-bodied, tastier small-batch craft lagers. Using a water profile from the Northern Rocky Mountains, high-quality domestic malt, and impeccable technique, Bridge provides a crisp and clean pathway over to a new world of rich discoveries. And as I said, it was a 2022 gold medal winner for American style lager at the Great American Beer Fest. And if you don't know what it is, what the Great American Beer Fest is, it is commonly referred to as GAMF or GAPF. Thank you. Not GAMF. GAPF. I can't even say GABF. Yeah. Say it however the hell you want to say it. But it is the largest commercial competition and recognizes the most outstanding beers produced in the United States. And it's hosted annually, usually out in Colorado somewhere. But yeah, Dead Words was recognized in the American Lager beer category for its Bridge and American Premium Lager craft for the finest ingredients. And I just kind of read you all that from the can. And they have a couple of quotes here. It is a craft, and the brew pub is headquartered here in Orlando, and it's within a half a mile from the Orlando City Stadium. So there's essentially 3 breweries all in that area, and they are the newest to that kind of block. So if you ever go into a match there, you can certainly hit that up, and then it's a short, 4 or 5 block walk around, less than a mile, no more than a mile at max from Exploria Stadium. But the head brewer is quoted as saying, "We are deeply honored by this recognition, and I couldn't be more proud of I'm sorry. This was the owner and CEO at Deadwoods Brewing. We are deeply honored by this recognition. I couldn't be more proud of head brewer Alex Samars. Sarames? I don't know how to. Sarames?
Ceramis.
Ceramis? Did I say that? Yeah, it's going to be a rough night on names. Sorry, Alex, and the entire team. It's all a bit surreal. What a wonderful moment he's quoted as saying. And it's for a new brewery in the area to produce an already gold winner at the Great American Beer Fest, which had an expert panel of judges of 235 with 9,904 entries plus 94 collaboration, 35 pro-am entries received from over 2,154 U.S. breweries. So to take home gold there, pretty freaking cool in our own backyard. And we got a 4-pack of it that we will enjoy tonight, Ron.
Can't wait. I was excited about it when we did the Great American Beer Fest wrap-up on the beer news a couple pods ago that so many local breweries had won medals, including oh man, what's the brewery we went as press?
Ivanhoe Park.
Ivanhoe Park. They won a bronze for one of their beers too. So it's good to see.
I think Gatlin Hall won one, didn't they?
Yeah, Gatlin Hall won for the Vienna Lager. So it's good to see Central Florida beers winning some medals.
Well, you guys are going from new breweries, and I'm going to swing the opposite direction. I'm going to the oldest brewery, baby, in Bavaria, Germany, since 1040. A little Weinstefaner. They're Helles. Weinstefaner. That's right. I wanted that Arsenal Helles you got me, so I was theming a Helles. So I got that because it also came with a glorious Weinstefaner glass that I'll show you once I get this thing all filled up. So that was really the impetus for getting it.
What kind of glass is it?
It's like an Oktoberfest style, like the big Stein.
Oh, nice.
Mug. But the Weizen, I'm probably messing this up too. We're not good for names.
Names
today.
are bad right now.
The Weinstefaner Helles is perfect with a classical Bavarian cold meal, but also the ideal accompaniment to a hearty roast or schnitzel brewed with centuries-old brewing experience on the Weihenstephan Hill. Flavor and color, its noble flavoring derives from the aroma hops, saffron, and select varieties produced in Hallertau region of Bavaria, soft on the palate, a fresh effervescence. The Weihenstephaner Helles is a harmonious, well-rounded, perfect delight. And I love this. They have another thing you can click for its foam and aroma. First impressions reveal a compact, finely frothy crown and subtly flowery aroma, thanks to the aroma of hop saffron.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Everybody needs to describe their foam. 4.8 ABV, 16 IBU. If you keep up with that kind of stuff.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh, reminds me of my time at Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
You lucky SOB.
All right, gents, shall we crack into these?
Let's do it.
Absolutely. A little bit of foam.
Little full, lots of sap.
Yeah, I'm going to do mine in the glass for the first round, and then we do a 4-pack round. So
perfect.
For the MLS, we'll have another beer to have. I think we should probably switch glasses, by the way.
Does it matter?
Yeah, you'll see why with the glass.
Oh, you got to make some changes there.
We just got to switch after pouring. We just got to switch glasses around.
It's because I pour a better beer than he does.
If you say so. All right, man. Look at that crisp, nice gold lager.
I do love actually. So we both have some lagers, even though we're different ages of companies.
Oh, I can't wait to try this.
Well, the reason I got it was I stopped in a few weeks back before working a shift down at tap room that I work at, which is a few more blocks past the Orlando City Stadium, and It's like, ooh, well, I'm going there. We have a big cooler in the back with all the kegs. I'll just toss this in the cooler and take it home after work.
Perfect.
All right, gents.
Well,
here's my handy dandy new glass. Cheers to you.
To football and beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Sláinte.
Oh,
Good grief.
such a good lager. Oh,
Clean,
Glipping.
crisp, everything you like want from a lager. Probably tastes a little bit different in cans than what I remember it being in the tap room, but still just such a clean lager.
bit of straw flavor with a little bit of like bready kind of finish at the end, but very slight.
Yep.
Very. I shouldn't say bready. I should say like crackery.
This is a perfect, well, and why wouldn't it be, German lager? God, it's so good. I love that everything they make is like you in your head exactly the perfect version of what it would be. But Weinstefaner's Helles this is delicious. If I had 10 of these, I'd pound them tonight. So good.
Nice.
And speaking of that, I couldn't have done that as we moved to the Premier League during Arsenal's match against Man City. It was a rough one to sit through as Arsenal flip-flops with Man City at the top of the table. It took 26 matches for Man City to finally overcome Arsenal for 4 days, 5 days. Well, how long? I mean, it was fair, something like that.
No, because they were I think they've led Arsenal haven't led the entire every week. I don't think of the Premier
I want you
League.
to go back and check that stat there because
I'm not entirely sure, but I thought City at some point in September or October led the league for a short bit. But yeah, it would have been for hours or
for hours. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I don't even know if it was for hours. I want to say it was somewhere in like the 24 to 48, similar to this.
Yeah.
I think.
Where they beat Arsenal 3-1 at the Emirates, but then 48 hours later, and with the help of help on the head of one of the former goalkeepers, Emi Martinez. I'm sorry, that was funny.
You know what? It couldn't happen to more of a douchebag himself.
It could. That's the thing. A guy that even
He's been such a since the World Cup.
For wasting time, and then the time he wasted added time that these goals happened in, and it just like a little I was listening to Ars Cast Extras, a little karma rolls back on Mr. Martinez.
His whole time after the World Cup has been karma from doing the pretending the Golden Glove was his crotch, with how he was. Then since then it's been like he's tons of gaffes, tons of bad. Like it's just karma has hit him fast and quick, right in the head, and apparently in this one.
Well, and so they were up on Arsenal twice in the game. Villa was, and then Arsenal wins 4-2 with a 3-2 score coming at off the face of Emi Martinez from a Jorginho shot that like whipped that thing, and boy, it hit that crossbar so hard it flew right back in his face. Which oh gosh, why am I forgetting the old manager from Arsenal, Unai Emery, called him out in the presser afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like,
I think it was mainly for the fourth goal.
Yeah.
Oh,
it coming out so far.
Yeah.
He was none too pleased, and he thought he came out a bit for that goal as well because he left a lot of space behind the goal.
Yeah, and it's kind of a freak thing in a way. I mean, yes, it's happened before. But it's very far and few between. Out of 100 shots that hit the crossbar, 1 or 2 are going to do that. Probably. But it was a well-struck ball. It just unlucky that in the 93rd minute out of 7 or 9 that occurred. And then he just got taken for town for going too high up and trying to do, you're down 3-2. You're trying to tie. It was just very, very, very weird and, good for Emery for a change. And it's kind of rare that you almost hear this from a manager to instead go, well, he's a good player and just bad misfortune. And, he just, he might learn for next time not to, or whatever they say. Instead, he's like, no, I never told him to do that. He did that on his own. Talk to him about it.
It was a great Scott Sterling impersonation.
Yes.
Right.
If you haven't looked up Scott Sterling, look Scott Sterling up on YouTube. It is
hysterical.
A brilliant video of goalkeepers.
And one of the last times this happened, Ferris, was in 2016 against Villa, and it was Arsenal. And it was it Arteta's last goal as a player for Arsenal against Villa?
So that's how long ago something like this has occurred. Unbelievable.
And it was one of those deals where like, oh, you wanted him to get the goal, but then it went as an own goal. But I would argue in this case, so I would love Jorginho to get his first Arsenal clean goal. Coming off the face of Martinez was golden.
It was more like the back of the head. It wasn't the face, but it was a very, last time it happened 7 years ago.
In my dream, it's always his face square on and takes that ball. But then the big news is that on their way home from the match, Man City ended up drawing to Nottingham just a few hours later.
And a very weird, like, how did City... You look at the stat line on everything, and you're like, how does City not win this 3-0, 4-1?
Right.
By some insane score, and they just didn't convert. Holland fluffed his lines a few different times, with one being, just an absolute miss that you would have not have thought he would have.
Yeah, a wide open net, and he skies it.
De Bruyne, not his best game, although he had a brilliant game against Arsenal and ran that game against Arsenal with a goal and assist, and he was brilliant in that one, and then just had nothing in this, and City just couldn't find that second goal to kind of put Nottingham away, and good for them for hanging in there, and just a fairly simple ball across goal and back post, and our man Chris Wood gets a little bit stiff and just bangs it in the back of the net. It was fantastic.
As only Mr. Wood can do. I will say, though, similarly, the week prior to this, Arsenal drew to Brentford with 69% possession, 23 total shots. It was a similar vibe in that draw as the Man City dealt with, where on paper it should have been like 3-1. Instead, it was a draw.
Yeah, it's becoming that part in this season, especially after a World Cup year, where the teams that have been flying are having a little bit of falter. And I think one of Arsenal's biggest problems is the lack of being able to rest players and, kind of rotate your squad through. So I think it's going to be up and down for Arsenal a little bit as the season progresses.
Well, and to kind of tag on to that a bit, I think two things that I thought of was, I thought a lot of things. If it's not written in the stars for a team to win at all, I don't know what is, because those type of breaks, those type of lucky bounces, those type of things have just kind of occurred for what, a championship type team needs throughout the season. Through the style of play, those breaks occur, those type of things happen. It's a very Leicester-ish feel almost in a way when it comes to that it's just no matter what they do, the ball bounces their way. It bounces off the post. It does that. So it's not written in the stars, and Arsenal don't win it by the end of the season. I think it's a huge miss for how long they've led for all those weeks and so on and so forth. But the other thing that I thought was weird is they celebrated as if it was game 36 of 38. Like, there's still 14 games left to be played, and they still haven't beaten the current champs.
All right, Gary Neville. I know
City haven't. No, you got beat at home 3-1. You got knocked out of the FA Cup, and you still have to play them one more time at the Emirates. It's not so much that Arsenal are better than City, who are current champs, and chasing them. It's City are shooting themselves in the foot, and the moments they should capitalize when Arsenal drop points or draw or these type of things occur, they're not. Because even if City won, they're still ahead of Arsenal, even with the lucky break. So,
yeah, but you reverse
there's still 14 games left. There's a lot of games to be played still.
And you have Liverpool a few years ago who beat everybody in the top 6 and would lose to Bournemouth and Watford. And ergo could not win the championship. But they smoked everybody else for the most part.
Yeah.
So does that mean they're champions even though they beat the top 6?
No, not at all. But I'm saying the team that's chasing you, that you're in a legit fight with, beat you on Wednesday. It took a 93rd minute bounce off of a post and off somebody's head to win. And then it took City putting, 8 shots on target, 22 in total, 80% possession, and not finding that second goal to still now be, 2 points ahead of them. So my point being, it's 14 games left. And the way Arsenal celebrated was as if it was game 36 of 38. It's a good response to what has been a tough week for Arsenal. And it's a good resolve from them. But there's still a lot to be played still. And I think
this Gary Neville thing of ragging on people for celebrating winning.
I think they were just proud of themselves for stopping the slide.
But I'm not ragging on it. All I'm saying is the feeling that I got from that celebration was as if they won the league already.
I didn't get that. I think you're just really hot on Arsenal the entire year.
Well, Arteta's a little and I'm so glad that De Bruyne got right in his face and said, no, don't try to kick the ball away, you petulant tiny little Bond villain wannabe man.
Man City never would have been on top had Lee Mason not have had to get let go from the, Premier League officiating if he'd actually done a job against Brentford.
And regardless, you guys still can't do a job at home and beat the team that you need to beat for the.
But at the end of the year, who cares? If Arsenal has more points at the end of the year, who cares?
That's the point. We're not at the end of the year.
So why are you bitching about it?
But we're not. No, all I said is this is a point that I drew is on how I saw them celebrate gave me that feel as if they already won. Like you go back and you watch how they celebrated that.
Oh yeah,
that's the feeling that I got, as if they won the league, not the game. So that's the only thing I'm saying here.
Who cares? Let them celebrate. Manchester United are running around.
I'm not saying it was a bad celebrate. I get it. It's a 93rd minute goal. It's all of that. But it had that slight feel as if, now we've overcome everything and we won the league.
I don't think anybody said it. You can project that all you want, but I didn't get that impression.
Yeah, because the first thing they all say is
all year.
Yeah, one game at a time, and we're celebrating this game because we were down twice and we came back and we won. And for the most part, this is a very young team, and every day is like winning the league when they do this because they haven't done this. Most of these guys, they're so young.
I think you just don't like Arsenal, and so you take any chance you can to shoot at them.
Yeah, Gary Neville. Gary Neville doesn't like cheering.
No, because what have I been saying on this pod the entire time? Until you beat the champs, it's going to be hard to beat the champs. And so far you haven't. And that's where I'm drawing there's 14 games left. You still have to play City in one of those going away to them, regardless of anything else that occurs, and you're going to have to overcome them or win them out.
Let me reverse that. The champs don't get to stay the champs if they can't beat crappy teams.
You guys lost to Everton. They're pretty crap. I mean, the league's wild. The league is crazy on results. And it doesn't, because whether you beat a crappy team, whether you beat whoever, there's 14 games left. And with how close this race is, I still think it comes down to the head-to-head matches that you all and City play each other with. Because you two could both fluff the lines, and I don't think it's going to happen, but United could go up.
But that's only a 6-point swing at all. So at the end of the year, it's about who has points. I don't mean to overly simplify this like John Madden, but if they lose to City both times and still win the league, they still won the league. So what difference does it make?
Do you know how it's
But
easy?
I think
the world against us mentality is this conversation, because this is what the pundits are saying too.
well, it's also that you guys have failed to win the league the past 5 times you've led it on New Year's Day or Christmas Day. So that mentality of thinking you have to overcome the champs, I think, has to be there. If
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if the roles were reversed and Arsenal had every time they have a chance to get ahead, they draw to a Nottingham, people would just be going, "Yeah, see, this is why they can't do it. It's why they can't do it." But no one's saying that about Man City. Man City keeps screwing up, and no one's like, "Hey, see, they've lost it, man. They can't do it."
well, that's because
Arsenal's top 27 out of or 20, however many
right,
weeks.
But it's history of how these teams have played are showing this. City haven't lost that.
Well, no, not since they got a crap ton of money that have turned out.
Okay, but still, in the past few years, they haven't faltered with this. In the past few years, Arsenal have. That's the history of it. So until that changes, and what I'm saying is, I think Arsenal need to beat City to kind of get past that last hurdle of knowing that we can beat the best, therefore we are the best. And you saw what that game on Wednesday kind of did. Had the ball not bounced off the crossbar and hit some dude's back of the head and gone in, this could have been a 2-2, and we could be talking something completely different. There's 14 games left. There's still a lot of games left.
Yeah, no one's saying it isn't.
Right,
but celebrate when you come back and win 4-2 when you're down twice. Why is that bad?
I'm not. I never said it was bad.
But you said it's like they're celebrating winning the league.
The feeling I got is that's how they celebrated. I didn't say they shouldn't have celebrated. I said it's a bad celebration. That's the feeling that I got when Odegaard's hopping off the bench and they're giving everybody like it. It didn't feel like a normal win, and it wasn't because of how the game went about, but how the week went about.
They've had a two game slump here, and so it was like the world was ending. Man City had more slumped games, and no one's saying their world is ending. That's all I'm saying. And now,
history has shown that their world.
Well, sure, you're gonna Man United will start winning everything as soon as you're owned by Qatar now, and then it'll just be a ton of money, and you'll just buy your teams like Man City did, and then it's all good, right? Does it still count then?
Money has nothing to do with this. We at no point did I say you guys spent what the second most in the window. Like money has no relevance to this conversation. I know we're going to talk about that here in a sec with what the bids are going in for United at the moment, but that has nothing to do with
Man City having history that you're talking about has everything to do with that money.
No, I'm talking about the recent history of the past few seasons when they've won the league. They've been there, they've done it. The times where you thought they faltered, they came back. They went through a string of games and blew everybody out of the dust, and you saw that gap. Now this season is completely much better and much more fun because of how tight everything is and how everything both at the top and bottom is changing a bit. But they have the last previous few seasons history on their side that when these type of things happen, they usually end up on top. I don't want them to. I don't like them to. But I'm just going off of what last season. The season before that, I think Liverpool won during that COVID shutdown. The season before that, they won. The season before that, they won. So more times than not, that has tended to be the case. That's
baby. We just got to come in second because in about 6 months we'll be first anyway because they will have forfeited all their championships as they
that's still a possibility. I don't think it's happening.
I don't think it's going to be quite so fast, but
it's possible, I guess.
All right. Well, we can all agree to disagree on that.
Yeah,
point.
but yes, we can.
Yeah,
correct.
It's until you can admit how good of a player Saka is, you're just too.
No, that's God, he's a petulant little boy.
Moving on.
Speaking of petulant little boys, Rashford continues to score, and United continue to turn out results amongst bids coming in for the club. As we said shortly after, they're going to be owned by Qatar. Marcus Rashford can't stop scoring at the moment as he has 5 in his last 4, and Ten Hag's men go 2-2-0 with wins over Leeds and Leicester and draws with Leeds and Barcelona as bids to buy the club come in from Qatar's Sheikh Yassim. Is that how it's pronounced?
Sure.
And UK very own Sir Jim Catliff last Friday.
This is going to be an interesting. I mean, there's two.
Radcliffe, by the way. I don't know what the hell I put there.
Catcliffe.
I did. MFBR. Sorry.
Oh, I like Ratcliffe. I like Catcliffe.
Sorry about that. I was like, that doesn't sound familiar.
I mean, these are two distinctly different things to talk about. Rashford can't help but put it in the goal. It doesn't. I mean, he scuffs the ball and it goes in the goal, right? So
you remember Ronaldo used to play there a few weeks ago,
right? Who?
It's so crazy.
But Rashford is, I mean, the whole team has really stepped up and are playing well. And I think if I can speak about Man United for a second, it's just that I think Ten Hag has gotten so much right. It's taken him a while to get here, but he has gotten so much right from lineups, tactics, substitutions and changes of formation and tactics when it's needed in a match. I think he's done really, really well with how he's handled all that.
One thing when we did the stadium tour of Old Trafford that you saw was how much Ten Hag has taken ownership of that club. You know, obviously not in the way that we're going to talk here in a second, but in terms of making sure the team knows he's the boss, right? Sir Alex had that. Pep has that. A lot of the great managers out there have. You know, it wasn't too long ago where Rashford was benched for showing up late, and how Ten Hag handled that, how Rashford handled that. And Rashford is the most informed player on the planet at the moment. How small things as what Ten Hag has done of he has assigned seating in the locker room. And I don't know if I discussed this on the last pod, but he's assigned when he's at the board, and the board was on pictures that I posted on Instagram of the locker room. You see a garage gate pulled down over this board. They don't have that up. It's a electronic board, might be a big computer screen. Who the hell knows what they have back there? But when Ten Hag is giving his speeches and stuff, that will be where he would stand. And he assigned seating for the starters, right? So the starters are going to sit on either side of him. And on the left side, the first one on the left side was Bruno. Then you had Casemiro. I don't remember who was on the right and left. I'd have to go back and look at it all. And then you had your subs kind of towards the back and stuff, right? He changed the benches. The bench that I sat in his seat at, is not the same bench that United's had for the past few seasons.
Swapped him,
right? So he's done all of these little changes and has, to your point, has taken ownership of it. What United is doing this season is fantastic. Unexpected. Did I call for Ten Hag to be wary, or did I call for him to be in charge of this club over a year ago when Ole got sacked? Yes. Did I know he was going to be this good so early? And time will tell if that is how he will be for the next few years, for the next few seasons. But right now, from what he has done with the club, whether win, lose, draw, you see a fight, you see organization, you see him controlling things, you see him having that rapport with his players, you see him giving people chances, you see a lot of things that are shades of him being a long-standing great manager for this club. And if United get bought out, which is still not a certainty, but the bids that we just talked about went in on that soft deadline on Friday, I hope that whoever buys United sees that, keeps him around, keeps a lot of what's in place around right now, and improves the club going forward and facilities and yada, yada, yada.
So the bids are essentially the soft bids, right? They're not, if I'm not mistaken, they're not hard bids about the club. It's more like, here's a snapshot of what we offer, and if you're interested in this offer, then we have to talk more and look at financials in more depth. And
correct,
there's a lot more going on.
So the Glazers have hired, I cannot think of the bank and whatnot, but it was the same bank that Boley and the whole exchange there used, right?
Yeah.
They basically, they helped to barter the deal, right? So the soft bid is them going, here are proof of funds. Here are proof of funds that we can purchase United at the $6 to $7 billion cost that's being talked about, right? Chelsea was bought for $3 billion. This is going to go for almost double that in theory, or at least on what the Glazers want from that. So it was, hey, we can have these funds, and here's a general, to your extent, overview of what we want to do with it. You know, the Sheikh's bid was something along the line of, he's been a United fan all of his life. He wants to, he wants to improve upon that. He has a 9-2 foundation based off the club's famous class of 92 with Beckham, Giggs, Scholes, so on and so forth. He's attended a match there. It's not quite sure when he attended, how long ago he attended, and so on and so forth. But, he would also clear the debt, essentially buy out the debt, where Ratcliffe's, his famous kind of thing that he said came out this week was he wants to put the Manchester back in Manchester United. He was at that famous match in 99 in Germany with those late goals that helped to seal the treble for them. And he's on the back of that. He's been a lifelong United fan. He owns a company called Ineos. Not exactly sure what the company is, but he also owns Nice over in France. Ineos also owns FC Lausanne in Switzerland and Racing Club Abidjan in the Ivory Coast. He's a billionaire. He will not clear the debt, though, if he buys it. From what I saw, he would put that debt not on United anymore, put it into the Ineos. So he would consolidate that debt to his company's debt, not necessarily have it on United's debt sheet for what they have, because United are billions of pounds in debt right now, or millions of pounds. Sorry, not billions. Again, the Glazers want to sell for $6 to $7 billion. There's a lot of back and forth with the United fans and everything else on who they want to buy it. The Glazers aren't even sure they're going to sell it. It's mainly the two, Joel and Avron, who want to sell it. They bought it for, they bought the club for $790 million in 2005, and they're about to sell it possibly for anywhere from 6 to 8 billion pounds.
It's credible. It's the Rain Group, by the way.
The Rain Group is the bank, right?
Yeah.
They can't let this they can't let this happen. It's such a mess. This Man City thing, whether anything comes out of this again or not, it'll happen again with Man City. And it's because who's the richest person in the world? You know?
No.
It's one of these dudes. But we don't know that. We say it's Elon Musk. We say it's Bill Gates. But that's because their businesses report stuff. These heads of states like this or attachments, they don't report their money. Like, I'm just going to come in. I'm going to take care of the debt at Man United. So what's happening at Man City is that financial fair play just basically comes down to saying you actually have to run this like a business. You have to show what you make. You have to show your expenses, and what you spend has to be relative to that. When you don't have any limits on money, you get what happens with Man City, where rules are being broken left and right. But, well, that same stuff's going to happen.
But you can't say that
here again.
You can't say that.
And
because
I just
how did the sale
like
of Newcastle,
if they don't put
through?
A clamp on it, that it's going to be.
You know, I understand that. Is that a worry with this? But you can't say that they can't let the sale go through. Well, you know, if we're nowhere near that point quite yet. But Newcastle's went through, and so far how they are running that has not brought up any sort of concerns, even though they are financially backed extremely well and more so than what
would that have
City
gone through had the Man City news dropped 2 years earlier, though? I don't know.
That's what I asked in the last pod. I said, well, did somebody walk down the hall and go, hey, before the sale goes through, you might want to look at what, yeah.
But we talked about they kept that secret. They kept the investigation.
Right, but the sale still went through.
Right.
But
they didn't know.
There's
right?
precedent there, though.
Like they know. They didn't know that the Man City thing was happening, and they let it go through.
That's how they did it.
All these clubs.
UEFA charged them for pretty much the exact same thing during the sale or before the sale of Newcastle. If it's done in a similar way to what Newcastle was sold and how that went about, and the things that are similar to what is could possibly go on here if the Sheikh's bid goes through, you have precedence to go, okay, if you follow the guidelines and the terms of what the sale should have, and we're going to use Newcastle because that's the most recent type sale with a group like this, then you can't deny one and allow the other without very notable whys.
Why can't you? If you have all these attachments to nation states, why can't you?
So then do you tell Newcastle they have to find new owners? But they're not grandfathered in because it was before the Man City investigation. That's not how it works.
They booted out Abramovich. You could. But here's
different.
Here's that's you like literally on this podcast. We said, you know what sucks because we know who bought Newcastle. I guess they're a top 6 team next year, huh? Boom, they're a top 6 team. That sucks. That's why the Sheik needs to f off. This needs to get out. Like this needs to get out. You got a club that was like fighting relegation left and right. Man City, who were they? They were no one. They were like nobody. And all this money comes in and boom, here we go. I mean, they can't win a Champions League, but they can win the league over and over.
So what then you say that, hey, Todd Bowley, leave. You're spending too much money.
Todd Bowley's not the president of the United States or the president of a former president of the United States or a former governor even, or like
either's a sheikh.
Oh, he has lots of attachments back to the Qatari government.
You're telling me that Todd Bowley doesn't sit at a table with Musk and anybody that has financial leeway in the US?
Financial, and you're not saying government, and that's the difference.
Yeah, but everybody knows those Fortune 500 or, those big top 5 companies steer the direction in the financial market a lot in this country.
It's just because they're a parent of Qatar. Like that would be like saying, it's still not applicable because they have more money than the royal family does. But it'd be like if Prince Harry owned an MLS club and didn't have to deal with financial fair play or anything.
Who's to say but just because he buys it doesn't mean, they don't have to deal with financial fair play. Like it still has to be done.
But the problem is they can't. Here's what's happening with Man City is they're having a tough time tracking the finances because it is so muddy.
Well, Man City is they boosted promo shirt sponsors and those type of things that they can't track that back for. But it's not that they have not met the financial fair play rules of what the league says. It's where did that money come from, not that they've overspent their means.
And Bowley, by the way, doesn't have taxpayer money from the U.S. funding his purchase of Chelsea.
How do we know that?
I mean, his businesses may have gotten subsidies or tax breaks or whatever, but he didn't get money from the U.S. government that said, oh, go buy Chelsea. But that stuff is exactly what's happening over here.
But again, if Newcastle's sale went through and say the Sheikh has a bid and it's an official bid.
So it's okay if they did it wrong. You get to do it wrong too. That's okay then.
No, but so how's it say that theirs is wrong though?
I think what they, with the rules that they have set up, as long as everything is conforming and legal, it's very hard for them to say no, and they have to essentially keep, a gigantic thumb on the finances of these clubs to make sure that the clubs that have this endless supply of money aren't illegally funding the teams by nefarious, methods. But it's going to be very hard for them to say, no, you can't buy Manchester United because you have all of these affiliations.
The same way Arteta wiggled out of getting a game canceled because of the rule set up.
Don't go down that
And then
path.
they changed the rules. So, they changed the rules of what it takes to buy the club, to Ron's point. Sorry, Ron. I cut you off. But I can't give, to kind of wrap this, I can't give an answer of who I would want to own the club. What I do know, I want the Glazers out. That's probably what any Manchester United fan that you could talk to that has followed this club for more than a handful of years will say. They just want the Glazers out. Do we want any nefarious, illegal, not following rules, somebody to buy it, whether it's the Sheikh, whether it's Ratcliffe, whether it's whoever the hell else could potentially put in bids? No. We want the Glazers out and the club to move forward with legal progress that's going to take this club into the next several hundreds of years.
Just like Man City, may you have trophies with no honor.
You tell Pep that and see what he says.
Hey, man. Pep said he'd quit if he found out they were cheating.
He's still there, ain't he?
Well, this investigation is not done yet. If I were the Premier League, I wouldn't let it happen. Because then it's just going to keep happening. It's going to be Liverpool. It's going to be Arsenal. It's going to be Chelsea. It's going to be whomever. They're like that, and then this will just keep happening. And then it's the English Premier League, owned by anyone but England. I don't think that's good for the game.
I mean,
England doesn't own it. When? Huh?
That's just my 2 cents.
It's going to be very difficult for them to stop if the Glazers decide they're going to sell it to a Qatari team or a Qatari ownership group. It's going to be very hard for the Premier League to turn it down with the precedents they've already set.
So we are passionate and go long about this Man United sale, and I can't help but notice that Ron didn't try to tell us to wrap it up, Ferris. I think it's because
that's true. We got
this next topic, which is, speaking of money, $500 million. What have we spent here? Potter out already.
Right.
As Chelsea lose to bottom of the table, Southampton on the weekend while failing to win a match in over a month, which, by the way, I don't really do TikTok, but I saw some funny meltdowns on TikTok following this match. Following Chelsea's loss at home to last on the table, Southampton on the weekend, questions, moans, and calls for Graham Potter to be sacked after 25 games, and has led his very expensive Blues side to 0 victories in the past month.
So I'll give you, I need some opinion.
Okay.
Right. And here's, I'm going to throw out a stat, and I'm Let's pretend we're not in a Chelsea discussion at the moment.
Is
right?
it? Hold on. Is this going to be a new game?
Right.
The Chelsea too expensive to play game,
right? So just think of this. In the last 14 games, a team has only gotten 15 points from those 14 games. 3 wins, 6 draws, 5 losses. The goals for, 9 in 14 games, and the goals against, 11 in the 14 games. The discussion we would be having, in my opinion, about this team would be they're getting relegated. I mean, think about how bad that is. 15 points from 14 games.
I mean, you're certainly getting relegated next year if this is what's going on rolling into it.
Well, this just means that you guys are now in a good position for Potter to get back. You know, he's taken Brighton from down below, you know, from those relegated terms up. So is that the only way you guys can go? Is that?
No, I think we should kind of be looking lower if this is going to continue.
So all right, are you on board with all of the Potter to be sacked? Do you give him time? How much time? Where exactly?
I understand both sides of the coin, unfortunately. I understand why you would give him time. He's only been in for 3 months.
25 games, yeah.
Right? So three months and change. And he's gotten a boatload of new players in during that time. So,
but you could give $580 million to Tuchel,
right? I you know, there was obviously personality and a bunch of other differences between the Bowley group and Tuchel. But I don't think it's necessarily fair to can him. He's only been there 3 years and
months.
Sorry. Thank you. 3 months.
Felt like 3 years.
You would definitely sack him if it's been 3 years.
I'm with Blake. It's felt like 3 years. Just watching one of these games feels like an eternity. But it's kind of unfair, right? He hasn't had much time to get into a groove. He hasn't had healthy players. Like, it's the perfect storm of crap that this guy's got to deal with.
I want him to stay. Keep stealing expensive players that would have cost Arsenal too much. That would, if we had actually gotten them, keep going.
It's the at home, not on the South Coast.
Yeah,
at the bridge, losing to the bot. That's rough.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, I don't think Potter should be sacked yet. If results keep holding this way, then I think he gets sacked in March. But
here's your game. How many more has he got to lose here to get sacked?
All right, so he gets knocked out of Champions League against Dortmund, right? Say that's the case. Dortmund are currently up 1-0, no away goals. So if Chelsea win 2-0, they go on. Next game's at the bridge in a fortnight's time. What's their next? Has anybody looked at their schedule?
It's relatively easy.
So all right. So then, Ron, you answer it. If out of the next 5 games, if he loses, say, the next 3 out of 5, does he get sacked?
So let's see. We have Tottenham on Sunday, Leeds March 4th, Dortmund for Champions League on March 7th, Leicester on March 11th, Everton on March 18th, Aston Villa on the 1st of April. I think he's got it. I think he's got those 6 games left.
I would say he's got 3 losses in the next 5 and he's out.
So, yes. So how many? Man,
it's Tottenham, Leeds, Dortmund, Leicester, Everton, Aston Villa.
All right. So So say you lose to Tottenham. Okay. You beat Leeds. You lose to Dortmund. You get knocked out of the Champions League. You get beat by Leicester, beat by Everton. I think he's gone. I think he celebrates St. Paddy's Day a few days after St. Paddy's Day. If that holds true.
No, I'm going to stop you there. Chelsea is absolutely going to win against the Spurs. That is the most Spursy thing that could happen right now. And that is absolutely what will happen is this. They will absolutely beat the Spurs. Then they'll blow it to like Leeds and Leicester and then have a great game against Everton. Just keep this fart moving on along,
If these 6 games are more losses and draws than wins, I think he's gone by Aston Villa on April 1st. That's my thought.
I think you're probably not too wrong.
Fair enough. Is it fair enough? But
but it's clear, right?
I understand it.
Okay, let me take it a step 2. It's not going to get a lot better. Is he the coach for next year?
I mean, in my opinion, no.
Yeah, you can't.
But does Bowley put his tail between his legs and go, we got that one wrong?
No, he's going to pay Eddie Howe $500 million to come in and I don't know. He's going to throw some money at some manager to come in and do something.
No, I think he's going to be a kind of a typical American executive who says, well, we learned a lot and it was all positive and we're moving. The club and Graham Potter are moving in different directions and that's okay.
I'm excited.
Because
I'm excited about our 43 wingers. I think we're going to have a great season next year.
We still aren't going to buy a striker.
Does the American owner know what the dreaded vote of confidence is over in England, where if he comes out and says, "Oh no, we're sticking with Potter"? Do you think he actually means it, or is that the old dreaded? I don't know. It was.
I know he's done it twice so far.
So he actually has. So clearly he doesn't know the dreaded vote of confidence then.
I feel bad for him because he could be at Brighton going, wow, look at this guy doing an amazing job over there. That could be his year right now. And
that's what I said. Why jump from a good team where you've got a good thing going to a dumpster fire? I said this, 10 podcasts ago.
Yeah.
Eric Ten Hag should come in.
I don't know. Who are we going to get? Zidane?
Zidane would be bad for you guys.
The other thing about canning somebody, sorry to cut you off.
You got to pay him off.
The bad thing about bringing on someone else is that you're essentially in the same position on the new guy when you fire Potter. Because Potter has been trying to figure out this team for 3 months. You bring in a whole boatload of new players. He's got people coming back from injury. He's changed the lineup like 14 times. He's trying to figure out exactly how his players play together. There's so many unknowns. The only thing he knows for sure is that he's still the coach. That's how many unknowns there are. So when you can him and you bring someone else in, that person's starting in the same unknown position that Potter left.
What you need
is to burn it all down.
Yeah.
No, you need Jose Mourinho. I want him back now. I want him to walk into that dumpster fire.
No. He's coming to the U.S. men's national team.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like he just gave a comment about whether he'd return to Chelsea or not. I got to see if I can find it.
Speaking of, do you know who did kind of say they would be interested in the U.S. men's job on public television in a roundabout way?
No. What?
Thierry Henry.
I think that'd be a terrible
I agree for U.S. men's national.
Terrible idea. Because all of the pundits and all the people that are getting themselves worked into a lather about this are thinking about him as a player, not him as an abysmal coach of Montreal, Monaco. Who's the other one?
It's a great segue into our MLS talk, though, right?
Wait. Here it is. I'm going to give it to you. He said, I would want to come back to the club. If you're thinking about a new manager, I want to come back for a third spell. This is on Yahoo Sports. So Mourinho is keen to come back to Chelsea.
God.
100% true.
God, that's like marrying the woman you divorced three times.
I just want the content. Let's do this.
Oh, my God.
Look, it's fun. It's not fun to watch a Chelsea dumpster fire with Potter at the helm. I like him. I need Jose Mourinho there so I can have more fun with this. Because right now I'm like, he plays like a nice guy, Potter. I just feel bad for you.
Ron, do you need another?
I need another
gold
6.
grade of American.
Can I shotgun this without getting it all over the equipment?
Yeah, that's up to you. And if you want to, then why not?
like a little Pat's Blue Ribbon mini cooler just for Chelsea.
Oh God, it's so painful. The funny thing is, you know, we've all been there in recent years, right?
Yeah.
Blake has been screaming, "Burn it down!" You know, you Manchester United got so low that Blake and I stopped making fun of it and actually felt sorry for you. So now it's Chelsea's turn.
It's hard to feel sorry for somebody that spent 660 million, and that's
the thing.
I know, but for you personally, yes, I feel your pain, and I feel sorry.
You spend
that sounded so convincing, Ferris. Thank you.
All right.
Well, now Ferris, we're gonna move over to good old US of A.
Yeah, man, as we pour a good old US of A beer for our second round here in the studio to get us through what has been a fiery pod so far.
I'm going to title this the Argument Podcast.
Blake, I love you, man.
Oh, I love you too. I love when it gets
great.
We haven't had a good argument podcast in a while.
It's been a hot minute.
Hey, one day you actually got to see Saka in person. I can't believe you aren't a believer.
I did. I've seen him twice now play in person here in Orlando.
And still not a believer.
No, he's talented. He's good.
Ron, add that to the soundboard.
Yeah, I'll mark that.
He's talented. He's good. Exact quote. Anyways, you know where he doesn't play yet because he's not 38 years old. The MLS.
It's not a retarded league.
There's the voice I was looking for from our last pod. All right. So for our 2023 MLS preview, and since there's just so many teams now, there's 29 teams in the league, including newcomers St. Louis City. We will just be covering some of the big headlines from the offseason and then have a quick look at the aforementioned new boys, St. Louis City. I'll pass it over to Ron to kind of give us a little bit of info on the new team joining the league. And then we'll give our brutal predictions on the season ahead. If you're looking for tactics and in depth on each team, you're looking in the wrong place. We're just going to cover headlines to get you a little bit prepped for what the MLS season kicks off this Saturday.
It came so fast.
Feels like really, really quick. And you know where you can watch it on Saturday?
Apple TV Plus.
Apple TV Plus.
I'm so excited to see how this coverage goes.
I am too. So this is the first season that the league gets into a 10-year partnership deal with Apple TV Plus. You can actually look at some of the content available now, which dropped on, I think, February 1st. And they have a couple of great expo or, little like docu things. They have past game. They have all sorts of stuff on there right now. However, for how and where and why and all of that, we'll kind of do a quick run through of it. But essentially, if you're an Apple TV Plus subscriber, the separate MLS season pass will cost you about $12.99 per month or $79 per season. Start doing the math there. $79 per season is a better deal in terms of how long MLS season goes, which is essentially February through November. So not a bad deal.
It's like $11 a game if you only watch your team.
Yeah, exactly. And then without Apple TV Plus subscription, MLS Pass will cost you about $14.99 or $99 per season. Now, anybody that owns season tickets for an MLS club, so as Ron and I currently do still for Orlando City, we get MLS season pass complimentary, which we've already gotten our code and such.
Free 99.
Free 50 free, baby. All viewers as of the first week. So this week of MLS action, I don't know when they're going to start this, so kind of Google it or keep an eye on it, but you will have a free without paid subscription during a trial period for the first week of the season. So that is coming up this week. So look more into that. Now,
just the first couple weeks of games, right? Like that's what they're going to do.
Just the first week of games, which I think will cover essentially 2 match weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So what will be aired? Every MLS regular season and playoff match, including the Cup final, will be aired, as long as every League Cups match, and then also hundreds of MLS Next Pro, MLS Next matches will also be aired. Big thing here. Furthermore, no blackouts.
Which is incredible.
No more tuning into Orlando City play at Nashville, but because the local station here has it, and the MLS rights say, no, you can't watch it because you're in the look, blah, blah, blah. It's not a nationally televised game. You can't watch unless you have this package.
Right.
What?
Gone.
I'm really curious to see what this does to sports overall. I know MLS is still like, climbing up there in terms of competing for viewership. But this format, also that it's international, I apologize. You may have that later down there.
Yeah.
But that's international. But what this, I guarantee you the NFL, NBA, MLB, they're all.
MLB might be doing something similar.
Well, they're all going to look at this to see how this pans out and how they respond to it.
MLB, their season's getting ready to kick off here with spring training and stuff, but Bally Sports, there are certain Bally Sports throughout the nation that hold MLB teams. Well, there's reports that Bally Sports are going to file for Chapter 11, whoever their ownership groups are, and that the MLB is looking into starting their own paid subscription on there with zero blackouts and that sort of thing. So, yeah, Blake, you're absolutely right. See kind of what this does. This is a big deal, right? This is a 10-year partnership. That's a lot on Apple TV Plus, which
10 years. That is the one part that makes me worry a little bit for MLS. That's a very long contract to see if this works.
True, but the way that subscriptions and essentially cutting the cord is going, the weird thing is it's an extra cost, right? It's like having a direct TV cost and then paying extra for the NFL Sunday ticket, right? So it is a little bit of an extra cost. However, all these things that you get, there will also be a whip around show for those big match days. What the MLS is focusing on and what you've probably seen in a lot of the schedules are Saturdays, Wednesdays, and Sundays, primary days that they will have a series of games on and stick to a more consistent schedule, right? We're not going to have a match on Tuesday and Thursday because of an off week. It may happen, but it'd be far and few between in terms of what the MLS plays, not necessarily a cup game, right? You will hear from essentially 49 different broadcasters, and they will air it in 3 different languages, English, Spanish, and French. And the list is nuts. So they announced a list kind of back in January, and some of the headliners of that for analysts included Maurice Edu, who you've seen on Fox, Taylor Twellman, who you've seen on ESPN, Marcelo Balboa. He's been a lead analyst for ESPN and ABC, former U.S. men's team defender. Sasha Kleshton, recently retired from the Galaxy, played here in Orlando for a few seasons.
And BWP, right?
And Bradley Wright Phillips. And then Diego Valeri for the Spanish side of things. Sebastian Latoya for France, for the French commentary. So those are some of the big name analysts that were first announced. Some of your big name hosts includes Liam McHugh. He's done a bunch of stuff. He's been doing the NHL on NBC for a bit. He's done a couple of the NBC Premier League in studio when Rebecca Lowe can't get in. He's great. Jillian Sakovitz, she's been great. I've listened to a few of her podcasts. She was also one of the main people covering Atlanta United on their local Fox Sports South coverage. She's great. And Tony Cerci has covered, he's been ESPN, Univision, Tubi. He's just multiple and will serve as a Spanish lingual studio host. For play-by-play that was first announced, you have Max Bredos. You've heard him on ESPN. Pablo Ramirez for the Spanish TV announcer. Frederick Lord for France. You got a lot. You had play-by-play for New York Red Bulls Steve Cangelosi, who has been covered all sorts of stuff, includes 2008, 2012, 2016 Olympic Games for NBC. He's called MLS, Serie A, La Liga, Bundesliga, you name it. He's covered a lot. Then just a few weeks back, actually, on January 30th or thereabouts, they announced another 31 editions.
Yep.
And I will not go through all of those names, but some of the big names for analysts includes Brian Dunseth. Hear him on Counterattack. He's been on SiriusXM, former U.S. men's international player. Danny Higginbottom, who you've seen a lot here in the States with NBC and the Premier League coverage. Kobe Jones, U.S. men's international. You get a lot of analysts there, including Christina Uncle, for kind of that VAR refs opinion that is so, that the NFL uses a lot. Studio host Kalen Kyle gets added to that.
I know. I'm so excited.
That's kind of cool.
Your former
crush.
Yeah, your former Orlando Pride crush.
Yeah. Able to play so many names. Keith Costigan, Adrian Healy. Love his voice, by the way. He was great with Ali Wagner in the World Cup. So you can head over to MLSsoccer.com to see all of this news, and just what Apple's going to bring this year should be very, very exciting.
I think the two that surprised me on that list, DeMarcus Beasley. I thought he was on his way out.
Yeah, I don't know if is he on this list? I don't see him so far. Are you sure he's on this list?
Well, he was supposed to join. I thought he actually did. Him and Bruce Arena, right?
He joined TNT and HBO Max for the U.S. national team games.
Oh, I thought it was to join for MLS.
No, I don't think he has
on
yet.
Their website?
At least I'm not seeing it in
yeah, on the MLS website. Bruce Arena, DeMarcus Beasley, and Kalen Kyle to join MLS World Cup coverage. Yeah, it's off their website.
World Cup coverage.
Oh, you dummy. Moving on. My bad.
DeMarcus Beasley is doing the TNT HBO Max covers, which is for the She Believes Cup and the deal that U.S. Soccer kind of struck with HBO Max.
My bad.
All good. But what this deal also does is Apple goes, hey, we want more games, right? Yeah, sure. We'll get you more games. Well, as reported by The Athletic a few months back, MLS is looking at possibly changing the playoff format. Kind of interesting. For this season, like the season that we're currently about to start,
right?
The playoff format could change. So while it was an 18 team, while it was a 13 playoff games last season, it could move up to 25 games this season. It's still not solidified. There's still just a lot of things that how it could play out. Head over, if you don't have a subscription to The Athletic, get one.
Yeah, they're running a special that it's like the first
12
year
months.
for $1.
Yeah, like it's awesome. But what they kind of reported and what a note has been kind of sent out to all of the MLS teams is it would change to like an 18-team playoff, which would open up the field a bit, right? And it would change, introducing a best-of-3 series for the first round, transitioning into a single elimination format for the conference semifinals and beyond. It would also include a play-in game for the 8th and 9th teams into that. So think of your play-in game for the NCAA March Madness to even get into the big tournament, right? Something like that with the 8th and 9th teams. And then this best-of-3 series is best described as a World Cup format, right? A group stage of a World Cup where the higher seed team would get 2 games. The lower seed at home, the lower seed would get 1 game at home to see who then advances out of that. It's a little unclear. There's a lot that is still unknown from this, but again, head over to The Athletic and they have a lot of articles on all of this.
I think you just leave it simple. I mean, does it need to become a tournament after a tournament included in a tournament? Can it just be we had the regular season and then here's the playoff, which you're kind of treating like a separate tournament? I get it.
Yeah.
But hey, Apple TV, why don't you just nail it the first year and make everything great? And then we can talk about getting you more games in another season.
Maybe.
Well, is that the push? Is it from Apple that wants that?
I mean, it's been in the news a lot that Apple wants more games from the MLS.
Did you see Phil Neville's response to all that?
No.
So the manager or coach for Inter Miami, this guy's, I hate that he's at Orlando's rival because he's cracked me up. He went on a tirade yesterday about we're not elite. We are 6 days out from about to start, and we don't know what our playoffs are going to be. We'll never be elite as long as this is what we're doing. That's not elite, Neville said on MLS. We're 6 to 7 days out from the first game of the season. We don't know the playoff format. I think that's poor. When you talk about professionalism and elite, I think when you're 7 days out from the start of the season, we've had talks here, and one of our players asked one of the MLS guys of the day, what's the playoff system? And they were like, we don't know. And I'm like, that's not elite.
I mean, he's not
wrong. Yeah, exactly. He's not wrong. And not
That's
wrong.
Crazy.
All right. So now we'll go through some of the headlines and moves and stuff. And a lot of them are actually back of house moves for the most part. So way back in November, if you hadn't heard, Gareth Lagaway joined Atlanta United FC as their president and CEO of the club. Gareth Lagaway, you may know from being the past 7 seasons with Seattle. Right, he was the GM and president of soccer operations for them. They won 2 MLS Cups this past season. They won the first ever MLS team to win the CONCACAF Champions League. Prior to that, he was GM of Real Salt Lake for 6 seasons, where he won 1 U.S. Cup and was runner-up in the CONCACAF Champions League in 2010-11 and runner-up in the 2013 MLS Cup.
Tremendous soccer pedigree in the MLS.
Goalie in the MLS many years back. So huge for Atlanta to join. Be interesting to see how him and Carlos Bocanegra get along, because that's going to be the partnership in trying to move that club forward. And kind of makes you wonder is along with Joseph Martinez, who left Atlanta, went to our other rival. Inter. But with that, with him departing, there's a lot of issues with him last season, and then the signing of Lagaway for Atlanta. Does this put them back in the playoffs and then contenders for an MLS Cup title?
Not this year. I don't think they have the squad for it.
I agree.
Next year,
I think they're back in the playoffs, but I don't think. I think this is a hiring for, when you sit there in an interview, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? It's, in the next 5 years, the goal for him, it would be to build a championship team that's going to win at least 1 or 2 MLS Cups. In December, so about a month after that, the Columbus Crew signed Wilfred Nancy as their new manager. You might know that name because he was most formerly of CF Montreal. He was the interim and then got the full-time job after Thierry Henry left, and that whole brand of Montreal Impact to CF Montreal. And he had a wonderful season with them last year. They had a wonderful win in the CONCACAF Champions League over Santos Lagunas, where they had to come back from. They had one goal scored against them and then one in the next leg. And then they were also the runner-up in the Eastern Conference. They placed second in the conference behind the Union. So how do you guys rate this signing for Columbus? And will this also put them back in the playoffs, as Columbus did not make it last year?
Playoffs.
I like this signing a lot for them.
I think it's a good move. Yeah, it's a good move for them. And playoff, man, MLS is so weird.
Parity, right?
Even looking at the predictions we're going to do, you're just like, oh man, this talk about gambling. It literally just feels like a shot in the dark.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Columbus are going to miss the playoffs.
You do?
With that, yeah.
Even with Nancy, who did, a darn fine job with a Canadian team who wasn't supposed to be the best Canadian team out there last year and still were?
Yeah, I think they missed the playoffs this year, but the training and the experience he gives them this year, maybe with a few key signings, that Columbus kind of have a little bit of question marks in center back and, if I'm not mistaken, and in midfield. So I think he's going to have to reshore that up. Overall, my impression is they don't make it this year, but I think they have a better shot next year under his tutelage.
Good word. It's a rebuilding year.
I get you. We won't go over the many signings that kind of occurred. You got some big names that were brought in, some big names that left. For instance, from LAFC, Christian Arango left in the offseason. Their big scorer went to Pachuca down in Mexico.
That's okay. They could be getting Aubameyang.
Yeah, right. They might.
Stranger things have happened.
They might. Hakeem Torres went from Montreal to the Union. How good is that for the Union, and how much does that improve them? Is a fantastic signing. Ashley Westwood, you might know that name from Burnley, went to Charlotte FC. You just had a whole slew of changes, which included Zardes on the move once again.
Yeah. Go figure.
Yeah, right. This time he's moving to Austin. It's a pretty good signing up there with Sebastian Giroussi. That could be a really solid pairing up front there. And then you had one of the highest transfers in MLS history happen by the Portland Timbers as they splashed the cash and signed Evander from FC Midtjylland in Denmark. It was a fee of about $10 million. It makes it among the 10 most expensive incoming transfers in the MLS. He's tied with the most for when Bradley when the trio went to Toronto. Bradley for $10 million, Jermaine Defoe for $10 million, and then Josie Altidore a swap later with Defoe. So all sorts of signings. You can head over to MLS. You can head to ESPN. They have a whole list of signings. We here in Orlando brought in a whole slew of signings. To more so add depth as we're going to be fighting on a front that we aren't really familiar with.
Why is that?
CONCACAF Champions League.
Yes, sir.
And they play here on the 15th. Are we going, Ron?
Yes.
We got to go to the first ever CONCACAF Champions League game here in Orlando.
That's because they were the Lamar
Winners,
Hunt
yep.
Trophy tournament winners.
Correct. So all sorts of signings. Again, not the pod to go into depth on all of those, but absolutely use the old Google machine and go to those things and start looking up a lot of signings. But should be a fun season, and we even have a new team with us, St. Louis
City FC or SC Soccer Club, not FC because we're not in the UK.
Some of the teams think that way are, and some of the teams don't.
Yeah, right. Something funny about St. Louis City SC, another friggin' red and black team. Do we really need... There's plenty of other colors in the Crayola color palette, folks. Do we need another red and black team?
Is it ruby red?
Oh, my God, I don't care. So St.
Scarlet
Louis,
red?
Yeah.
It is not red, right, as I look at this.
I don't know. It looks pretty red to me.
What red would you say it is, Blake?
Well, and isn't this a change? Because wasn't it purple prior to this?
I think so.
We kept our purple, damn it.
You probably will talk about this, but there's a lot of tie-in to Orlando City with this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, no, just like we had our player manager, the Irish guy. He was their first coach.
Yep.
I feel like
O'Connor. He came here for a few seasons, yeah.
Yeah,
which I know it's like every Irish guy out there, but
right.
I think it's actually James O'Connor. I think was his name, right?
That's crazy. The most Irish name you could get. He was their first manager. They won USL championships. They had a very build it like Orlando City vibe. Yeah, if you followed them at all. I feel like, Ron, there were some office folks too that might have bounced over there from Orlando City.
Well, their current executive staff, their owner is Carolyn Kindle, who's the majority owner and the CEO. And then essentially the other technical staff, sporting director, head coach, none of them are shared with Orlando City. Bobby Murphy, Alexander Longer, Andreas Schumacher. No, I don't think those guys.
Well, and I'd have to actually look at it, man, to know that it's not even, that's more current. It could be older.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see their kit's interesting. That's for sure.
Don't they have a sparkly new stadium too?
Yeah. So let me give you a little intro, and then we can mix it up. So this St. Louis City SC is the newest expansion team from, of course, St. Louis, Missouri. The club was established in 2019 and plays its home matches at the City Park, a new soccer-specific stadium, which
Love
is
hearing that.
next to Union Station in downtown St. Louis. Like I said, it was founded in August 2019, 3 years ago, if you're doing the math. The capacity of their stadium, City Park, is 22,500. Their owners, Carolyn Kindle, Joanne Taylor Kindle, and Jim Kavanaugh. The chairman, as I said earlier, is Carolyn Kindle. Their sporting director is Lutz Fenesteel. Their coach is Bradley Carnell. And, of course, they're in the MLS as the newest expansion side.
Who was their big name signing?
Playing in the Western Conference.
And I just sent you guys their USL kit. It was purple.
Yeah, they were a former USL team, and they tried 4 different attempts to get into the MLS, and each time they were put off by the MLS Don Garber, who's the commissioner of the MLS, essentially saying there are more attractive offers. You need a better ownership group. You've got to prove that the city will support you. There's not a soccer-specific stadium, which it's interesting whether or not. So when they decided to build the stadium, it was actually going to be a tandem stadium between them and the St. Louis Rams. That's how far back that was. Now the Rams are no longer in St. Louis and have moved on. But these guys have been trying for quite a number of years, since 2007, to try and get an MLS expansion side. So they've got quite a deep history in the USL, and they should be a pretty fun team to watch.
Who's their big name signing? Do you know?
Big name signing. Dun, dun, dun.
Not a big name signing that you would go, oh my gosh. like Kaká was here, right? Or
right.
You know, some of those. Roman Berkey, a goalkeeper, a former Borussia Dortmund goalkeeper as of like last season for Dortmund, is their big name signing that they brought in. Interesting. Usually you're like your big designated, big name signing. Usually not a goalkeeper.
Yeah, and he's the captain.
Yeah. Good. I mean, he's good. All that, but yeah, interesting. And he's actually not a DP, I don't think. Yeah, he's not. And then you know who went there that was on our team formerly? Nicholas Giacchini.
Oh.
Had a short stint here. Didn't really play a whole lot. Was okay when he was here. U.S. Men's International. That had a few caps for them. Really hasn't kind of fallen off a bit. But
And I have to correct myself because I screwed up. It was Louisville I was thinking of, not St. Louis.
Yes. Okay. Something was sounding okay.
It was Louisville that had James O'Connor over there in the USL.
Yeah, you sent us Louisville City, not St. Louis City. Yes. Okay. Makes a lot more sense. All right. You want to pick Louisville for them to win the whole thing there, Blake?
To win the USL, it's happened plenty of times. I'll pick them to win that. Is it time for our predicciones?
MLS predictions.
Where's the... You gotta give me a little... I know, everybody get amped.
All right, Ferris, how you want to do this?
All right, here we go. We're gonna try to fly through this. All right, so what we usually do with MLS is we do the winner of the East and West, MVP. Oh, with the East and West, we also do the Shield winner, as somebody who has to win the Shield. MVP, Golden Boot, biggest team to miss the playoffs, who wins the MLS Cup championship. And if you were keeping track back home of last year, we all sucked. Blake was the only one to get anything right in terms of who wins the championship, and he chose LAFC, and of course they did. But there were several that we, for instance, biggest team to miss the playoff, Nashville, the Union, by me, NYCFC for Ron, they all made the playoffs. Terrible. Ron, no lies. Ron also got Henny Mukhtar as the MVP. So well done. So we will do those this year again. So gents, who do you got winning the East? Blake, I'll go with you.
Winning the East. Let's have a little fun and say Montreal.
Ooh.
What?
Interesting.
Yeah,
You serious, Clark?
I'm serious. Let's have a little
Don't
fun.
have Wilfred Nancy. Half their team left.
Hey, man. Maybe that's also my Leicestershire prediction of the year.
But that's the wrong league.
Yeah.
We don't
Okay.
really do that for this one.
Okay, here we go. Ron, who's your team out
This
of?
rolling the dice, the MLS is like rolling the dice. That's
Okay.
Okay, you know what?
Fair enough.
Each its own. Ron, who do you got winning the East?
NYCFC, unfortunately.
Again, you think? Hey,
Yeah.
no Castellanos. Still no stadium. No surprise.
Well, they've never needed one in the past.
No, Maxi Morales
Yeah.
gone too. One of the names list. Interesting. Out of the East, sneaky here, gents. Sneaky here. You know who moved over to the East with the addition of St. Louis being added? I'm pretty sure they did.
who moved over?
Nashville SC
Oh, yeah.
moved over
Yeah,
to the East. So I will take Nashville to win the East.
Oh, wow. All right.
Wow. That's huge.
Listen, they did well in the West, which a lot can argue the West was a bit harder or can be harder with Portland, Seattle,
I know,
LAFC, Galaxy. But
I mean, the East.
hey,
Okay.
all right. We all got
Hey.
interesting ones. Winner of the West. I'll go reverse order, Ron. Or actually, no, if we're going reverse order, I'll go
you.
first. Yeah. I like what Austin's done. Also like what Portland's done this year. Sunny of it. I will go with the. I'll go with Austin. Ron,
That's my guess. Austin.
Blake.
LAFC.
All right. MVP of the league. Who you got?
I know we were talking about this before. How many times the MVP not actually the Golden Boot, but it does happen.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with another roll of the dice and say from FC Cincinnati, Brandon Vasquez.
Good shout,
Nice.
Blake. I like that one.
Dude, he had a good
Blake,
year last year.
You and I are very similar.
Well, but
This
Blake also
year.
chose CF Montreal to win the East, so we can't.
Well,
Ron.
I don't know if that's a good thing or bad for me then.
Yeah,
For MVP, I think it's Austin FC's Sebastian Giroussi.
You know what? We're gonna go samesies. Samesies on Jerussi.
Yeah,
Jerussi on samesies.
I think it's his year.
He finished I think second in the MVP last year. If I got them winning the West and with Zardes, I think they're gonna have a good partnership. You know, you have a vet in the league with not necessarily a vet, but yeah. I'm going with you. There. So we'll both go Jerussi on the MVP. Golden Boot. Who you guys got?
well, then I'll just go and say Druisi was who I was going to.
Oh my God, that's
Well
so
done.
funny.
Well done.
Because mine is Brandon Vasquez. I mean, last year, 18 goals, 8 assists in 33. He only lost out to Mukhtar. So
You are not wrong. I'm going to throw an interesting one and kind of
Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
an unsigned player. Oh man.
oh, wouldn't that be hysterical?
No, I'm actually I'm going to go with one of the Italians
No.
in Toronto.
No. Go ahead.
It's not going to be Insigne. I'm going to go with Bernadeschi. 8 goals last season in 13 appearances. That's pretty good. More than what Insigne did. So I'll go Bernadeschi.
Okay. Interesting shout.
Yeah. I mean, these are going to be all of us are going to be entirely wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be like Ferran Torres for us, or
Cavallini. Or
yeah, it's going to be somebody.
Osorio. Maybe
yeah.
it's his year.
Exactly.
I just typed in Aubameyang, and by the way, I just have to say, like, The headlines are amazing. Emerick Aubameyang sent brutal MLS transfer warning. Like,
well,
what's brutal? Like that's
what's funny is last week on all the coverage for the Premier League, Will Ferrell was out there, and he said he was on a recruiting trip. And just 2 days before that, the headlines broke that Aubameyang might be headed
left out of the Champions League squad, as you said on the last pod.
Right, and might be headed off to MLS. And then Will Ferrell just happens to be in town. I mean, come on. He's going to MLS, right? He sucks everywhere else.
I don't think so.
God, wouldn't it be funny though? Should we bet a beer on it?
No, well, I'm not. No. And I have to correct myself. Facundo Torres, not Ferran Torres.
Orlando City.
Yeah. For Orlando City, Ferran Torres plays for Barcelona, former Man City player. He had a good game the other day. But anyways, biggest team to miss the playoff, gents.
I went first last time. Who's first this time?
Atlanta United.
That was good. That was
Wait,
good.
what? All right, so Ron's going Atlanta United, biggest team to miss the playoffs. I mean, they missed it last year. It's not really a big shout.
I know, but with all the work they've done in the offseason,
Okay. All right.
I think, I think they're currently guessed to be, roughly in third, but I think they're going to miss the playoffs entirely.
Okay. All right.
LA Galaxy.
I'll go the other side of LA. I'll go LAFC.
Whoa.
That's crazy talk.
You know what? This league is parity, and you win one league, and then Seattle won the CONCACAF Champions League, didn't even make the playoffs.
Look at Columbus.
Exactly my point. So I'll go LAFC. All right.
I can't see them falling that hard though.
That's hey.
Everybody, when you talk
that would
about,
be a big team to miss the playoffs. Am I wrong?
That's fair. Well, when you talk about the parity in the league, you always think about worst to first, not first to worst.
Correct.
Right.
But
so like
I reverse everything. So
if Aubameyang ends up at LAFC, Ferris is going to be right.
Ferris, brilliant.
All right. Who wins it all, gents?
I went first last time. Ferris, you go first.
Oh, you put me right on the damn spot.
You're welcome.
LAFC. No, I'm kidding. Gosh almighty. I think I will
do the Shield.
I'm sorry.
We did East West. Did we do Shield?
No, we
didn't.
Well, all right. You're right, Blake. Apologies. Let's go back and do the Shield. So, Blake, you had CF Montreal and LAFC. Who do you got winning the Shield for that?
LAFC.
Okay. And I have them missing the playoffs. This is a great pod. I had Nashville, SC, and Austin. I'll have Austin winning the Shield. Ron, you had NYCFC and Austin as well.
Austin.
So we both went Austin on both the West and winning that. Okay. So now, who do I have winning the playoffs? Is that what was asked?
No.
Is that what I asked of us? And then you asked me
who wins MLS Cup?
MLS Cup. Same thing. Well, it's going to be 25 games in the playoffs. So
right.
Any team can win it at this point.
The team that's less injured and less tired.
Yeah, right. Man, you put me right on the spot on this one.
You're welcome.
I have two teams that I'm either thinking of. They both start with P, either Portland or Philadelphia. And I think I'm going to go out.
No,
west.
You got to go east.
I think I'm going to go out west and say Portland.
Oh, interesting. Another year where Philly can't get it done.
I didn't say that. Who knows? They can get knocked out in the three
according to
playoff.
You is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Blake.
I was going to say this whole new playoff tournament situation could change everything.
100%.
All right.
Yes, I like it.
Austin SC.
I almost went there as well. I got them doing a lot this year, but yeah, well done. Ron.
All right.
Dude, you going to Austin? It's
Austin's year this year.
I was going to do it, but that would have been very boring for us all to pick the exact same.
I have them for the West, the Shield, the MVP, and who wins it all. I think it's their
I'm
year.
right there with you, but I got to change it up because the MLS playoffs is so whack that nobody knows.
Yeah.
Well, although last year
You don't know what it is, Ferris. You can't even say it's whacked.
No, that's true. Because last year, if you look, the number one team in the West and the Shield winner won the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the number one team in the East played them in the. So
Yeah.
last year it wasn't whacked, but this year you introduced this new playoff. You got a lot of new teams. You got Nashville moving over to the East. You got madness of coaches going to Columbus. All sorts of things. This is going to be a weird year.
I wonder if they'll actually know what their playoff is going to be by the time they kick the first ball.
No way.
I don't think so either. Nope.
Should be entertaining.
Should be.
All right, gents. I think that wraps us up. I've got, as your beers, the pod, just as a reminder, I had the vest on offer. Hellas. So good. What'd you guys have?
We did the Bridge American Lager from Deadwords Brewing right here in Orlando, Florida. And it was a winner in the Great American Beer Festival.
Excellent. And as always, follow us, brutalgame.com, on the Twitters, on the Untapped to see all these beers, Facebook, Instagrams, all them things. Leave us a rating review on Apple Podcasts, however you listen to us. Let us know. Get us a screen grab. We'll send you something fun, a koozie or something in the mail, some magnets. Ferris, you got a Zlatan quote to get us out of here?
You know I do. A fan on Twitter said, "Is Zlatan human? Or should he be worshipped like a god?" Zlatan's tweet back to this particular Twitter user said, "Yes, Zlatan is just a human. The same way a great white shark is just a fish."
I mean, who can argue with that?
That's fair. Did you see the other day, speaking of Zlatan, he was in training with his son?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
That's kind of cool.
Well, I'll just tell you that as I have discovered as I've gotten older and I've become more lactose intolerant, I just had a really rough day the other day and just could not contain the gases as I farted in the elevator. It was wrong on so many levels. That's the first Muppet laugh.
Yeah, he totally turned into the Muppet with the little head jiggle.
That got me. That was Blake. Well done. A little bit of a long setup, but you knocked it out of the park.
Oh God.
Oh man, it reminded me of those two guys that sit in lawn chairs and go back and forth with those type of jokes. That reminded me of that. So.
Oh yeah, in the Instagram reels.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah. So very well done, Blake.
Yeah,
the dude sitting on the pier talking to each other. Yeah, excellent. All right, gents, here we go. Love the beer, cherish the game, the beautiful game.